Hi there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my latest layout for Hey Little Magpie, featuring Symbol Stories Boho Baby. I've managed to get quite a bit of this range and the colours are just perfect, so I'm going to set to and make a baby layout, unsurprisingly. So on the white cardstock I've cut out a heart. You could use a cutting machine or you could do it by hand. It's not quite symmetrical, but I'm not concerned about that. I'm picking out the papers from the range that seem to coordinate with the photograph I've got on the right hand side of a little baby that's made my daughter a auntie. So I've picked the ones that I quite like and I've gone through my stash and I've picked out some punches. I wanted some that with different patterns and I haven't used them for ages, and it's one of the things I'm trying to do at the moment is either use it or lose it really with some of my stash. So I'm going to use the punches and the pattern papers that I put aside and I'm going to punch some strips. I could do different punches on with different papers or mixing them up, but in fact I just used one punch with one piece of paper, then I got a different punch and a different piece of paper just so there was less to think about. So, and they're less than an inch thick each strip. So I'm just going to lay them on this piece. This is a thinner piece of 12 by 12 cardstock because basically the heart cutout is going to go over the top. So I want these to be layered. I got the inspiration from the crochet blanket that's in the photograph. So I'm just having a look now which colourways I like. And I like the way that you can see the scalloped or the punched edge when the different colours are overlaid on each other. So obviously I don't know whether you've got any punches in your stash. I mean, you could cut some scallops by hand by all means, or even just tear some strips would also give a really good effect. So I'm just, as I say, just lining them up. I wasn't sure about the dark brown initially, but actually I quite like the addition of it in the end. So I'm just having a little bit of a play. Try not to repeat. I'm trying to make it random, and sometimes making it random is harder than doing a repeat. So I'm just lifting the heart over the top just to have a look at how they would look. And yeah, I quite like the way that's gone. So I'm going to think about sticking those down. The brown doesn't make it at the top in the end. I decided it's too much of a distraction. So what I'm going to do is just take these off the top and then add some double-sided tape to the base layer. This way, without using wet glue, it's easier that if I do want to move them around or space them out a little bit, because I want to kind of have them a little bit even, I can lift them back up off the double-sided tape. So I'm just going to work from the bottom, because obviously I want them to overlap. I've drawn a pencil line finely using the top layer as a template, and I'm just going to line them up and stick them down. Obviously it doesn't matter if they stick off either side. I think I do trim off a little bit of the excess, but I'm just trying to evenly space them as I work my way up. I'm not spending too much time on this because it still gives a really nice overall effect, and they are pretty much in the order that I decided. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I don't know how you feel. Do you have punches in your stash? Do you use them? I'm terrible at if something's not in front of me, it doesn't really get used. That's one of the reasons I stand up when I scrapbook. I find that I actually wander around a bit more when I'm upright, and I do have more chance of picking up bits and pieces from elsewhere to use. So as I say, the brown didn't make the cut at the top. I'm just going to use this flowery just to finish off this heart. So I'm really pleased with the way that looks, and that's where the photo potentially is going to go. So I'm just trimming these few bits off that are not needed, but because the paper was 6 by 8, I made the heart less than 8 inches across, which means that I didn't need to cut into any 12 by 12 papers. So that's something else to consider if you're going to make something similar. With the rainbow paper, I have hand cut a lot of those rainbows, and I had an idea that I was going to create like a scalloped edge using them around the edge of the cutout, and they're really nice, and I thought that would be a really good idea. And then I decided that, oh no, I needed to add something more on this as well. So I'm going to actually stitch a line to put those rainbows onto, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go around the edge of the heart, well, in less than about 1/2 centimetre I think I choose in the end, and I'm going to stitch. So I'll get out all my cottons, and please excuse the mess that they're in, I do apologise. And I looked for a green and like a peachy colour to see what I'd got, and to use them up, and then I decided I would make a choice. So I picked out 3 that could be potentials, and actually then I picked the peach that's on the left side. Getting a pricking mat and a tool, I just do these by hand, and starting at the bottom I work my way round the heart shape. I'm just going to do back stitch. So there, I've done that off camera because obviously that took me a bit of time, and I used that time to catch up on a couple of TV programmes that I really like. And then I'm going to go in with the rainbows, and I'm just using a pair of nail scissors to actually curve the bottom of the rainbow so they actually sit nicely against the stitching. And then I'm going to just get them into position first before I actually stick them down, because there's nothing worse than them not fitting right. The 2 that I'm going to use in the indent of the heart, I actually trimmed down a bit smaller than some of the others, just so that I can get them nearer the point. I did contemplate putting something in the point, but I preferred not to, and I like the symmetry of these 2 opposite each other, so I was quite pleased with that. I haven't put them underneath the photo because there's just no need. So I've stuck those down off camera with a bit of double-sided tape, and I've just lifted up some of those layers just to give them their full appeal. So I brought in the rest of the range. I don't think this layout needs much more. It's got quite a lot on it already, but I'm going to add some journaling in the top left to balance the photo in the bottom right. So I'm just going to add a layer under or 2 underneath the photograph, just to raise that up a little bit, and then I will just embellish both areas just a little bit. Really lovely range. Do check it out in Hey Little Magpie's store. It's just really soft colours and suitable for any baby, any youngster. In fact, I'm thinking that I might need to make some layouts that aren't child-based at all. I am absolutely taken by the rainbows as well. I do think they are really stunning in this range, and I did get the pack of just rainbows. So I'm just having a look at all the bits and pieces that I've got there. I feel like I want to add a rainbow, but I think maybe I've got enough. But I do debate it on this card. They don't make the cut, but you have to try, don't you? And if I didn't try, I'd wonder. So, but that is definitely the journaling card that I keep. So I'm going to just have a look through, see if there's anything else that actually takes my fancy. I did play with it using that card, but I went back to the original, and then I found a couple of bunting bits that say "Love You," and decided that they would be absolutely perfect as my title. So I'm just going to stick these bits together because I'm quite happy with them, and I'm going to use just a sticky pad to get that to lift up over the sewing. I went round completely with the sewing. I thought that was easier than messing about, just in case I did move the photograph, because obviously it would be easy to add a rainbow, but it would have been a bit of a pain to go back in and do a bit more sewing. So just adding this banner there. I'm going to add a couple of flowers underneath just to soften that there, and a little heart on the photograph. You've got to be done, hasn't it? So I'm just looking at this journaling card. I'm not going to stick it down until I do the journaling, but I will add the banner. Then I know exactly how much space I've got left. And I'm really liking the way this is now coming together. I think it really echoes the photograph really well as well. So there we go. I'm just going to cover that. You may have noticed I've turned that card upside down because the banner didn't cover the words "little one." So I'm actually going to take a sticker from the sticker sheet, which still says "little one," but it's actually going to be the right way up. Sometimes it's easier to do these sort of things, and I quite like the way that looks on there. I picked one that matches. So here's the finished layout. I've got the journaling. I've had a couple of enamel dots and a little rabbit, but essentially it's exactly the same. So here's some of the close-ups. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, give it a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel, and do visit Hey Little Magpie's online scrapbook store in the UK, full of lovely, lovely stash, and particularly this range. So thanks for watching. Bye for now.